Om Namo Narayana, Jai Swami Narayana, Namaste. Welcome back to Chapter 20, Studying the Structure of the Universe. We're picking up with verse 18. And as I commented in the last episode, I'm not too sure as to if we should take this chapter literally or as symbolic of something else. If you have an opinion on that, feel free to put it down. As I said in the last one, recommend books to your heart's delight. Please do. If you have some clarity on how to view this from your perspective, I welcome it, because I don't know, really. And my source, Radha Kanana, also doesn't seem to know. So it would be interesting to know. So I just want to say that before we do this. I think I'm going to try to complete this chapter. And, yeah, I've given my thoughts before instead of after, unless something comes up in the reading. So here we go, starting with verse 18. Outside the ocean of clarified butter is another island known as Kransadvipa, which is the width of 12,800 miles, twice the width of the ocean of clarified butter. As Kushadvipa is surrounded by an ocean of clarified butter, Kransadvipa is surrounded by an ocean of milk as broad as the island itself. On Kransadvipa there is a great mountain known as Kransra, from which the island takes its name. Although the vegetables living on the slopes of Mount Kransra were attacked and devastated by the weapons of Kartikeya, the mountain has become fearless because it is always bathed on all sides by the ocean of milk and protected by Varuna Deva. The ruler of this island was another son of Maharaja Priyavrata. His name was Grita Prishta, and he was a very learned scholar. He also divided his own island among his 7 sons. After dividing the island into 7 parts, named according to the names of his sons, Grita Pritsa Maharaja completely retired from family life and took shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, the soul of all souls, who has auspicious qualities. Thus he attained perfection. The sons of Maharaja Grita Pritsa were named Ama, Madhura, Meghaprishta, Sudhama, Brajista, Lohitana, and Vanaspati. In their island there are 7 mountains, which indicate the boundaries of the 7 tracts of land, and there are also 7 rivers. The mountains are named Sukla, Vardhamana, Bojana, Uparabina, Nanda, Nadana, Sarvato Badra. The rivers are named Abhaya, Amritaga, Arakya, Tritavati, Rupavati, Pavitravati, and Sukta. The inhabitants of Kanatsavipa are divided into 4 castes called the Purushas, Rasbhavas, Dravinas, and Devakas. Using the waters of those sanctified rivers, they worship Lord Vishnu by offering a palmful of water at the lotus feet of Varuna, the demigod who has the form of water. The inhabitants worship with this mantra: O waters of the rivers, you have obtained energy from Lord Vishnu, therefore you purify the 3 planetary systems known as Buloka, Bhuvarloka, and Savaloka. By your constitutional nature you take away sins, and that is why we are touching you. Please continue to purify us. Outside the ocean of milk is another island, Shakyavipa, which has a width of 25,600 miles. As Kranatsavipa is surrounded by its own ocean of milk, Shakyavipa is surrounded by an ocean of churned yogurt as broad as the island itself. In Shakyavipa there is a big Shakya tree, from which the island takes its name. This tree is very fragrant, indeed it lends its scent to the entire island. The master of this island, also one of the sons of Priyavrata, was known as Medhatiti. He also divided his island into 7 sections, named according to the names of his own sons, who he made the kings of that island. The names of those sons are Parokshava, Manokshava, Pavamana, Dhumratnika, Citrarefa, Bahurupa, and Vishvaharda. After dividing the island and situating the sons as its rulers, Medhatiti personally retired, and to fix his mind completely upon the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, he entered a forest suitable for meditation. For these lands also there are 7 boundary mountains and 7 rivers. The mountains are Ishana, Urushringa, Balabhadra, Shatakeshara, Sahasrastrota, Devapala, and Mahanasa. The rivers are Anaga, Ayurda, Ubhayas, Prishti, Aparakshita, Pansapani, Sahasrashriti, and Nijakriti. The inhabitants of those islands are also divided into 4 castes: Vitavrata, Satyavrata, Dhanavrata, and Anuvrata, which exactly resemble Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. They practice pranayama and mystic yoga, and in trance they worship the Supreme Lord in the form of Vayu. The inhabitants worship Lord Vishnu in the form of Vayu with the following words: O Supreme Person, situated as the Supersoul within the body, you direct the various actions of the different airs, such as prana, and thus you maintain all living entities. O Lord, O Supersoul of everyone, O Controller of the cosmic manifestation under whom everything exists, may you protect us from all dangers. Outside the ocean of Yoga is another island known as Pushkaradvipa, which is 51,200,000 miles wide, twice as wide as the ocean of Yoga. It is surrounded by an ocean of very tasteful water as broad as the island itself. On Pushkaradvipa there is a great lotus flower with 100 million pure golden petals as effulgent as the flames of fire. That lotus flower is considered the sitting place of Lord Brahma himself, who is the most powerful living being, and who is therefore sometimes called Bhagavan. In the middle of that island is a great mountain named Manasotara, which forms the boundary between the inner side and the outer side of the island. Its breadth and height are 80,000 miles. On that mountain in the 4 directions are the residential quarters of demigods such as Indra. In the chariot of the sun god, the sun travels on the top of the mountain in an orbit called the Samvatsara, encircling Mount Meru. The sun's path on the northern side is called Uttarayana, and its path on the southern side is called Dakshinayana. One side represents a day for the demigods, and the other represents their night. The ruler of this island, the son of Maharaja Priyavrata, is called Vitihotra, and he had 2 sons named Ramanaka and Dataki. He granted the 2 sides of the island to these 2 sons, and then personally engaged himself in activities for the sake of Lord Vishnu, like his elder brother Medhatiti. For the fulfillment of material desires, the inhabitants of this tract of land worship Lord Vishnu as represented by Lord Brahma. They offer prayers to the Lord as follows. Lord Brahma is known as Karma Maya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies one may attain his position, and because the Vedic ritualistic hymns become manifest from him. He is devoted to Lord Vishnu without deviation, and therefore, in one sense, he is not different from the Lord. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord and Supreme Worshipable Deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Brahma, the form of manifest Vedic knowledge. Thereafter, beyond the ocean of sweet water and fully surrounding it, is a mountain named Loka Loka, which divides the countries that are full of sunlight from those not lit by the sun. Beyond the ocean of sweet water is a tract of land as broad as the area between the middle of Mount Sumeru and the boundary of Manasotara Mountain. In that tract of land there are many living beings. Beyond it, extending to Loka Loka Mountain, is another land which is made of gold. Because of its golden surface, it reflects light like the surface of a mirror, and any physical article that falls on that land can never be perceived again. All living entities, therefore, have abandoned that golden land. Between the lands inhabited by living entities and those that are uninhabited stands the great mountain which separates the two, and which is therefore celebrated as Loka Loka. By the supreme will of Krishna, the mountain known as Loka Loka has been installed as the outer border of the 3 worlds, Burloka, Bhuvaloka, and Svarloka, to control the rays of the sun throughout the universe. All the luminaries, from the sun up to Dhruvaloka, distribute their rays throughout the 3 worlds, but only within the boundary formed by this mountain. Because it is extremely high, extending even higher than Dhruvaloka, it blocks the rays of the luminaries, which therefore can never extend beyond it. Learned scholars who are free from mistakes, illusions, and propensities to cheat have thus described the planetary systems and their particular symptoms, measurements, and locations. With great deliberation they have established the truth that the distance between Sumeru and the mountain known as Loka is 1/4 of a diameter of the universe, or in other words, 1 billion miles. On top of Loka mountain are the 4 Gajapatis, the best of elephants, which were established in the 4 directions by Lord Brahma, the supreme spiritual master of the entire universe. The names of those elephants are Rasbhava, Pushkarakuta, Vamana, and Aparakshita. They are responsible for maintaining the planetary systems of the universe. Lord Vishnu is the master of all transcendental opulences and the master of the spiritual sky. He is the supreme person, Bhagavan, the super soul of everyone. The demigods, led by Indra, the king of heaven, are entrusted with seeing to the affairs of the material world, to benefit all living beings in all the varied planets, and to increase the power of those elephants and of the demigods. The Lord manifests himself on top of that mountain in a spiritual body, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. Surrounded by his personal expansions and assistants like Vishvakashena, he exhibits all his perfect opulences, such as religion and knowledge, and his mystic powers, such as Anima, Lagima, and Mahima. He is beautifully situated, and he is decorated by the different weapons in his 4 hands. The various forms of Lord Vishnu, such as Narayana and Vishnu, are beautifully decorated with different weapons. The Lord exhibits those forms to maintain all the varied planets created by his personal potency, Yogamaya. Now, my dear king, outside of Loka mountain is the tract of land known as Aloka Varsha, which extends for the same breadth as the area within the mountain. In other words, 1 billion miles. Beyond Aloka Varsha is the destination of those who aspire for liberation from the material world. It is beyond the jurisdiction of the material modes of nature, and therefore it is completely pure. Lord Krishna took Arjuna through this place to bring back the sons of the Brahmana. The sun is situated vertically in the middle of the universe, in the area between Burloka and Bhuvaloka, which is called Antariksha, or outer space. The distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe is 2 billion miles. The sun god is also known as Vairagya, the total material body for all living entities. Because he entered this dull egg of the universe at the time of creation, he is also called Martanda. He is also known as Hiranyagarbha because he received his material body from Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahma. My king, the sun god, and the sun planet divide all the directions of the universe. It is only because of the presence of the sun that we can understand what the sky, the higher planets, this world, and the lower planets are. It is only because of the sun that we can understand which places are for material enjoyment, which are for liberation, and which are hellish and subterranean. All living entities, including demigods, human beings, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, creepers, and trees, depend upon the heat and light given by the sun god from the sun planet. Furthermore, it is because of the sun's presence that all living entities can see, and therefore he is called Ishvara, the personality of Godhead presiding over sight. Thus ends chapter 20, and I've already said my comments, so I'm going to hold off from saying any more and making this video go long. And just thank you for watching as always as we make our way to the end. There's only 27 chapters, 26 chapters left to Canto 5, so we are working on it, and yeah, until next time, thank you for watching. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Swami Narayan.